All right, I'm recording, so
Oh, it's recording?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hey, folks. Randy here with Dulin Cut Trim. So I'm here at Mulch Mate. I don't know if you can see the thing behind me, but we're waiting for Nick from Dawson Manufacturing to get here. And in the meantime, I'm pretty nervous about the interview we're about to do, so figured I would take the opportunity to bust out some videos while we're waiting for him and hopefully get the nerves out, because there's two guys back there and they're making me uncomfortable and they keep like looking at me. So I figured we would just bust through some of these and see what we can do. So I wanted to tell you guys about the time I decided to go full-time in the lawn care business. This is something that we're probably going to cover in the interview whenever Nick gets here. But it's an interesting, well, I don't even know if it's an interesting story, but it's definitely a story I'm going to tell you. This would have been 2015. I had gone to school with Nick, but I hadn't seen him in a really long time. Like, I think I'd seen him when I was 17. And then just kind of randomly, I bumped into him like 10 or 11 years later. And I had just started in the lawn care business. I was doing it part-time, and I was working for the state, during the day. And I had taken an intern of mine to Mission Barbecue. And while we were there, I look over, and I see this massive dude. And next to him, I see a guy who I recognize as Nick's dad. And I was like, oh, man, that's Nick's dad. I'm assuming the giant person next to him is Nick. So I go over there and I'm like, hey, Randy. And he's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? And we talk, and, he's like, hey, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I work for the state of Maryland. And I got a little, lawn business on the side. And Nick goes, oh, yeah, I work in lawn care too. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm thinking like, oh, well, we're in the same industry, And of course, then I find out later Nick's company was, doing 7 figures, and my company was doing 4. So I felt a little stupid there when I found that out. But anyway, so we had that meeting, and Nick, we said something about connecting. I found him on Facebook. A friend requested him, and then that was more or less it. And so didn't talk to him for months. But, I was working on the lawn care business. This was before we did like YouTube or anything. And, I was doing okay. I mean, I had I think finished the season with like 17 lawns. And by the time November rolled around, obviously we're pretty much done doing a couple of leaf removals, things like that. But I was still working for the state of Maryland, and it was rough. But that's just another story for another time. And randomly, out of the blue, I get a call from Nick, and he's letting me know that his company, they don't do residential snow plowing. Would I be interested in taking on any leads they get for that? And I was like, yeah, sure, but I don't know anything about it. But yeah, definitely. And so he said, all right, well, let's get together and we can talk about it, because I'll help you. If you're willing to put in the work, I'll help you out. And I said, okay. So we decided, I'll never forget it. It was the week of Thanksgiving. It was the day before Thanksgiving, so it would have been a Wednesday. And we went and met at a Panera. And that always sticks with me, because I think Panera serves garbage food. I don't like it at all. And so we got there. I got pretty much the only thing that is even remotely redeemable at a Panera, which is their hot chocolate. It's a C- hot chocolate, but what are you going to do? So I get there. Nick shows up, and his father's with him. And we sit down, and the first thing they do is he opens up this binder or whatever, notepad thing. And it's got an audiobook in it. And he said, hey, I want to give this to you. And it was the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. He said, I really think you should listen to this book. And I actually don't want to talk to you about snow anymore. I just want to talk to you about your business. And we sat there for I think we were there for over 3 hours. It wasn't quite 4, but it was definitely over 3. And we went in so much depth about my business. The ins and outs of it. I mean, he tore my business cards apart, telling me everything that was wrong with them, talking about the different aspects of the business, what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong, what was stupid, what was smart, all these things. And towards the end of it, he was like, dude, how much money do you make working for the state? And I told him. And he kind of hurt my feelings at the time, but he laughed and said that was nowhere near enough, that it was stupid that I was working there, that I should just work in my business full time. And I was like, screw you, dude. And so we shook hands, parted ways, but it really stuck in my head. Really, really stuck in my head what he said. And I listened to that book that he gave me. He gave it to me on CD, and I was like, I don't even have a CD player. So I just went on Audible, got it, and listened to it. And I ended up listening to that book not 3 times in a week. That doesn't make sense. 3 times in a month. I listened to it all the way through 3 times, and I was inspired. And I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I started thinking, I can do this, you know? Up until then, like, you know, most people were like, dude, do not go into lawn care full time. You've already got a good job. And so I started, like, really kind of thinking about it. And the week after Thanksgiving, I said, you know what? I'm not trying to go in the lawn care full time necessarily, but I am kind of trying to do that. So what I said is I'm going to get up every morning at 4 a.m. and I'm going to work on the business until 7 a.m. And then when 7 a.m. hits, that's when I'll get ready for work and I'll go do my day job. And I did that starting the week after Thanksgiving. And I did that every single day until the end of February. And at the end of February, again, if you see my channel, you can go into how I got into the lawn care business, that whole story. You can see it on there. But things were getting bad at that job. And at the end of February, I quit that job and went into the lawn care full time and never looked back. But if it hadn't been for that conversation with Nick, where I kind of got challenged to get out of my comfort zone, it wouldn't have happened. There were too many people in my ear saying that, you know, you can't do it, you know, you're too fat, you know, or, you know, you're too old, or you got a degree in something else, don't waste your degree, all this kind of stuff. And if I hadn't taken the plunge, I never would be in the position I am now, where I can be the kind of father I want to be the kind of husband I want to be. You know, and so it's one of those things where if he hadn't challenged me that day, I never would have been in the position I am in now. And it's something I really appreciate. And so I don't know. I don't even know why I'm telling you that. I just, I don't know. It was on my heart. And so I decided to share. So I hope this was helpful to you. It's Randy with Dulin Cut Trim. Have a good one.